Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amber Ball, and today we are going to talk about something that has been extremely life-changing for me, and that is regarding how I was able to lose and maintain my weight with PCOS. So I'm going to spare you the long, boring intro, and let's just get into it. The first thing I think is super important to highlight is to have a lot of grace on yourself with this process. PCOS, as those of you who have it know, can be a very difficult thing to deal with. And for people who don't know what PCOS is, it stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome. There are so many videos that talk about PCOS, so I'm not going to bore you with that. Please, after this video is over, go and look at whatever those videos are telling you. But the abbreviated version of what PCOS is a hormonal imbalance that makes it harder for the woman to ovulate regularly. This is caused, primarily by insulin resistance and can lead to things like excessive hair growth, weight gain, the list goes on and on, irregular periods, things of that nature. One of my syndromes of PCOS is irregular periods as well as insulin resistance. Like I said, I really want to emphasize having grace on yourself as you navigate this process of learning what foods are best for you in terms of losing and maintaining weight, and not being hard on yourself if you have gained a lot of weight, especially over the pandemic, or if you're having a hard time navigating the right foods and just feeling frustrated. Like, I can 100% relate to you in that. And even though I know the things that I know, it's a whole other thing to apply these things and make them a habit, which is what I'm in the process of doing. So we're all in this together. These are just the things that I have learned. I want to emphasize I am not an expert. I am not a medical professional. I'm not a certified nothing. I am just sharing with you my journey, the things that I have done, the resources that I have looked into regarding these things, and what has worked for me. So please understand that, and please receive that, and take whatever I say for what it is. Don't take it as medical advice. Please just take it as me sharing my journey and my experiences. First, we're going to dive into food. When you have PCOS, it is super important to be mindful of the foods you are eating, because hormones are very much regulated by the foods that we eat. Specifically, for me, being insulin resistant, I have opted for a low-carb diet lifestyle. I know people often do not associate diets with lifestyle, but I'm using them as one and the same. I eat low carb. When I say low carb, I aim to consume no more than 60 grams of carbohydrates per day. Along with consuming 60 grams of carbs per day, I also consume at least 100 grams of protein per day and 109 grams of fat per day. All these things I log in MyFitnessPal. Each day I take everything I'm eating and I log it into the app, and it's pretty straightforward. I mean, if your cheese stick has a barcode on it, you can scan your barcode and it pops right up, and it's very intuitive once you get the hang of it. So I highly recommend downloading that and using that as a tool to know exactly how your macros are working out and where you're at throughout the day. Now, you may be wondering, okay, Amber, how do I know what my macros are? Good question. If you want to know what your macros are, that is very personal. It's based on your age, it's based on a lot of different factors. So I'm going to leave in the description box the service that I use in order to get my macros calculated and to know exactly what I need to be eating so that I can even log it into MyFitnessPal. In terms of proteins, you really want to focus on hitting your proteins. It can be very hard to meet your protein and fat goal because America runs off of carbohydrates. Trust me, you will have no problem meeting your carbohydrate goal But in terms of hitting your fat and protein goal, you have to be super intentional. I recommend things like chicken, of course, eggs. I really love protein shakes. They're supplemental, so they're not, if you don't want to say, a natural source of protein, but it's still a great way to hit your macros. Even if you don't feel like eating chicken or you don't feel like eating a steak, having a protein shake is an easy route and it works. I also like to make things like soup, especially when it's colder out. And please, do not avoid dairy. At least for me. I know everyone is different, but for me, dairy has been so helpful in helping me meet my fat goal and my protein goal and avoid the carbs. Dairy has little to no carbs, so it's actually a great tool in meeting goals with PCOS and maintaining a low carb diet. Another thing to emphasize with food is please do not be too restrictive. If you start cutting out cheese, red meat, green meat, purple meat, no, just playing. If you start cutting out too many things, then once you do end up losing the weight and hitting your goal, you're just gonna end up binge eating the things that you really like. So when you start to cut back on carbs, please make sure to do it in a way that is reasonable. It's okay to enjoy a cookie here and there, maybe even once a day, as long as you're within your macros. Just make sure to log your cookie so that you know exactly how many macros you have left after you've eaten that. And that goes for everything else. It's okay to have a burger with fries when you go out to eat, but you might want to consider making healthier alternatives to that burger and fries. For example, have a burger in a lettuce wrap, and instead of having fries, you can have it with a nice side salad. You want to make sure that you are eating foods that you can sustain for a long period of time that you actually enjoy. If you don't like yogurt, don't eat it. You don't have to make those pretty acai bowls if you don't like it, because then you're just going to stop eating it and just gain the weight back and eat what you really want to eat. So please, eat the things you like. Just track everything you're eating. Y'all ain't gonna like me for this one. Prepare yourself. If you're a woman who suffers with PCOS or just hormonal imbalances in general, you're gonna have to really cut back on the alcohol. I know. None of us want to cut out the wine. None of us want to cut out our mojitos, our rum and coke, whatever y'all like. I know, it's hard. But trust me, I've also seen a difference. Up until recently, I've decided I'm not gonna be drinking alcohol really at all. Maybe once or twice a year at maximum. And it is because when I do drink alcohol, I do notice a huge difference in the way that my body absorbs foods. It takes me way too long to recover. I feel like I gain fat easier. I get headaches. It's just not worth it. For a glass of wine, I'll pass. Now, I know not everyone is there yet, and that's okay. If you don't want to cut it out completely, I do recommend cutting it back a lot. If you do drink alcohol, I would stay away from the mixed drinks and maybe focus on more dry red wines that don't have as much sugar. Another thing you can do if you don't want to lose that alcohol feel but not have the alcohol in it is have some nice mocktails. A drink that I recently, discovered is a virgin mojito. And I'm sure I'm late, but literally all it is some club soda or sparkling water, lime, mint, and a little bit of simple syrup or agave. And I mean a little bit, because that's sugar. A little splash of that and you have a virgin mojito. So drinks like that can really help you to not consume alcohol, but still if you're with friends, you're entertaining with friends, you don't have to look like the loser. Now we're gonna get into exercise. Now, exercising can really depend on the person. So again, take what I say for what it is. These are just things that I've done and things that I've experienced that have been helpful. For me, exercising too much is actually of detriment. At one point, I was doing 45 minutes of intense cardio 4 days a week. And I found that actually ended up hurting me because my metabolism was just on fire. And I was hungry all the time. And when you're hungry, it's not always easy to grab the healthier options. You go for the carbs because they taste good and they're going to fill you up, or so you think they are, the quickest. But when you actually do a little bit less exercise and focus more on weight training, of course, is still gonna get your heart rate up, but it's not as intense and it still helps you to burn calories while maintaining a nice toned physique. I do also recommend incorporating some high intensity interval trainings or HIIT training workouts, maybe once or twice a week, but you don't have to go crazy with the cardio. Again, when I did that, I was just so hungry all the time and it wasn't helpful for me. So just to overview, you want to track your macros, focus on finding macros that are gonna allow you to have a low carb diet, moderate protein, and a healthy amount of fat. Do not avoid dairy. Prioritize your proteins. Eat sustainably. Eat in a way that you can eat for the rest of your life that is going to keep you at an ideal weight. And everyone's weight is different. Please do not think that one person's ideal weight should be your ideal weight. And please do not be obsessed with the scale. If you notice that the composition of your body is changing, that is what matters more than the number on the scale. I recommend even having a tape measure so you can measure your measurements instead of looking at a number on a scale. For working out, do not go too intense with the cardio. It's just gonna make you hungrier and make you eat more stuff that most likely you shouldn't be eating. Focus on weight training, and high intensity interval training, or even things like Pilates and yoga are excellent for PCOS as well. Hopefully this was helpful for y'all. If y'all need more information or if y'all have questions, of course let me know down below. I would love to help y'all as much as I can as I'm learning. And again, check the description box for different resources and videos that I found helpful. Till next time, y'all. Peace.